And Councillor Hollingsworth is also joining us. Hello, Sandra. Can you hear us okay?
And who else is
I can
joining
hear
us?
you. Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
It was the YouTube. Is it gonna be YouTube?
We're going to call the meeting to order. Welcome to being here. It is our company meeting around the table and introduce ourselves. Stephanie, can you go ahead?
I'm Stephanie Perry. I'm with the planning department.
Hello, I'm Sumit Thapa, I'm with the planning department.
Carol, over to you.
Carol Magnan, committee member.
Greg Kohler, committee member.
Lee Sharpenberg, committee member. John McConnell, committee member.
Diane Morrell, accessibility coordinator.
Lisa Bezo Allen, Ward 2 City Councilor and Accessibility Committee Member. Carrie Tuckett, Committee Member.
And special hello to Councillor Hollingsworth and Peter Chinasco, who are joining us on Zoom. And in order to help the group focus on today's agenda, before we do anything else, Diane, can you explain what those things are in the middle of the room?
Yeah, I think, Sandra and Peter, can you see them on the floor in front of us? So this is our youth water wheelchairs. The boxes that are there is the seating system, which is a sling style, multi-position, youth water. It's actually a shower chair, but there is no such thing as a youth water wheelchair. Doesn't exist. There are full wheelchairs, but they're pretty restrictive in positioning. So this is what we are going to be using for the splash pads. And what you see there, the metal frame is the wheeled base. What you're not seeing though, I think, is the wheels. They're caster wheels. They look like they're about a 3-inch lockable caster wheel, which is not ideal for outdoors, but our pool, our splash pad areas are pretty wheel friendly from change room through to splash pad. So we are going to be giving that a trial this summer. We did purchase one last year for Bellevue Park, but we didn't get it implemented before end of season, just back ordered for equipment. So we purchased 2 more. We purchased one from the Barrier Removal Fund, and the other one was purchased by Virginia through Parks and Rec. So we have one now for Manso, one for the Plaza, and we have one for Bellevue. That'll be going out shortly.
So this is for the splash.
Splash
So
pads.
then the seats go on top of the.
Yes, the seats put in to the frame. Yeah. There are 2 that are meant to work together. And if anyone's looking for them, they're called Otter chairs by Driving That.
Great, did you have a moment?
Just a quick thought, Jared, we Diane, regarding the casters, and we buy them separately. If we have a wear and tear problem, which I can, I'm just guessing, this is a joke, this is literally off the top of my head, but perhaps the back replacement sets might be in order.
Yeah, and I anticipate we can, and it's probably a frequently repaired item, just because of water, and even in a home environment, it's probably something that's frequently repaired.
I was just wondering, do we have them in inventory?
We do not. It only took a week for them to be ordered from the States
Okay, so
to us here, so
the supply chain has improved a little bit.
I sure hope.
We've had I had issues getting crush tips, so that's what the genesis of that question is.
Yeah, yes, good question, Craig.
Any other questions or comments on these?
It's wonderful.
What are they called in Otter?
Otter shower chairs.
Councillor Hollingsworth?
Yeah, if you can hear me, I'm just so curious, how much does one cost? Just out of curiosity. I think they're wonderful, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, each one cost, about $1,100 for each chair.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's,
Okay.
it's not a small investment, and it is a trial. The size that we purchased, fits up to 120 pounds, which should fit a lot of youth. Maybe not everybody, but it should fit a lot. And if we get requests for something else or a larger size, we'll certainly look at that for next year.
Okay, good.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Any other questions or comments on that? That being the case, let's move on. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to look at our minutes from the May 8th meeting. Any questions or comments or errors or omissions? Seeing none, can we have a mover and a seconder to approve the May 8th
I'll
minutes?
move.
Diane moves and Terry seconds. Thank you very much. We're all in agreement, I guess. Thank you.
Aye.
Perfect. We also have declaration of conflict of interest. This is a requirement. We do this every time, although I don't think in the 2 years I've been here, we've ever had a conflict of interest. But if anyone, as a result of a decision or recommendation that this committee may be made, stands to gain financially or members of their immediate family, that would be a good time to speak up. Being none, we're just gonna charge along. The new business. Meeting's going extremely well. Moving on. I'm gonna talk on the first item, which was the Chamber of Commerce Leader and Accessibility Award nominee. We were really pleased to see this, and Diane, myself, Derek, and Carol all went to the Chamber's awards night. We unfortunately didn't win, but I was impressed by two things. I was really besides food. Besides the food, I was impressed by two things. One, the fact that they had an award to recognize excellence in accessibility in the community. I think it's maybe the second year they've done it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I can tell you 5 years ago it didn't. So that's a positive thing that the community is moving in the right direction. And secondly, although we didn't win, there was a number of nominees. There had to be Diane, Carol, maybe 8 or so,
Something like that.
different nominees. So that shows that a lot of different organizations are really taking steps.
Yeah.
Caroline, did you want to add?
I thought, just the building itself was easy to maneuver in. Except for the tablecloth. Gotta be careful with that. And, you know, the food was really good and, it really surprised me how many businesses were there. You know, I was impressed. I was.
And you know, very well on, yeah. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to add anything?
No, well, maybe another observation, it was, Canadian Mental Health Association that won the award. And one of the criteria for the award had an emphasis on employment for people with disabilities. And it was really nice to see that, the, Canadian Mental Health Association won it because they have a fabulous employment program. So, you know, kudos, well done.
Okay, moving along then to the next item on the agenda is benches for downtown design. Diane did circulate as part of the agenda, 2 designs by Hauser, which is a giant company that builds furniture and they tend to build really good quality. Diane, a little bit personal.
So, because rest areas are really important for people with disabilities, through this committee, we've, over the last, 5-6 years or so, really put an emphasis on what are rest areas that are accessible. So the design of benches really matter. Having benches that have a backrest, so you can seriously rest for seniors or anyone that has endurance issues. And the other important feature were armrests. So armrests on both sides, so that for those people that have a hard time either getting down to a seated position or getting up from a seated position, that they are better able to do so with the help of the armrest. So the design choice for our downtown redesign that is currently going on, those criteria didn't quite exist in something that was looked at for the designs. So they've asked for a custom modification to bring those two designs into one. So they have one bench that has backrest, another bench that has armrest. So they've asked that both be incorporated into the design for downtown. So I did share that. I think yes, the links were in the agenda. So if people had a chance to see it. I thought, did I?
There's a link for the one with the hand arm, but I couldn't find a picture of one with the back.
Yeah, oh, you know what, I attached them both. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the first one. The with modular bench.
So
Yeah.
the first one, I must have missed that.
Well, I don't know if this would be helpful, not the biggest drawing on the planet.
yeah.
This is by Hauser. Hauser is a really well-known company. They need all of our added. And these guys, custom is not. We're willing to pay, they're willing.
Other than that seems to work a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just wanted to share that with the committee, because that's an important feature for people with disabilities in our community, and the city listened and has found a design that meets everyone's needs.
Perfect.
What color are you got a choice of what colors? Like, you got a choice of,
Oh, you know, I don't know.
Peter, do you know what color?
Sorry, Dawn, can you, I'm having a real hard time kind of making out certain parts of the conversation. Could you maybe repeat the question?
The question was, the committee is looking at the benches proposed for the downtown by Hauser. And the question was, do we know what color it's going to be?
Or we're talking about, sorry, and I missed part of that. I heard Hauser and I heard downtown. So are we talking about the benches?
Correct, yeah.
What color?
I believe they're either similar to what's on Bay Street or charcoal. I've got you know what, by the end of the meeting, I will have that answer for you. I don't know off the top of my head.
Thanks, Peter.
I'll have it for you though.
Sandra, are you able to hear us as well? Or are you having the same problem? No, you're good? All right, thank you.
I just have a concern about the color. Depending on where it's gonna be located. With the background. Depending on the color of the background, would depend on the color of the bench, right? Just a thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carol, my take is that all the benches will be the same color regardless of where they are.
Okay,
They will be along the path of travel, but not on the path of travel.
as long as they're not a dark color.
Yeah,
Kind of iffy.
I don't know. Peter will get back to us
Okay.
with that before the end of the meeting.
and Diane, you had also circulated a picnic table. Does that come up elsewhere in the agenda?
It does. It goes with the next item, which I think is on my agenda. It's 1.2. See, where does it show up on that one? it goes with, it's 5.3. The Inclusive Communities Grant and the Trans Canada Trail application for the kayak dock. So if we're done with the benches, then I assume we're good to move on. So as I think most committee members know that I've spoken before about the accessible kayak dock that we have and how it was a really great project a few years ago, but they missed a few details in accessibility. So I've been looking at this for a few years, and finally a couple of things came together. Trans Canada Trail has many different streams for funding, and one is for accessibility. They provide up to 35% of the cost of accessibility features of anything along the Trans Canada Trail. 35% is really fabulous, but the cost of fixing this was $20,000. So I had to figure out where we might find some other funding. We did find some other funding potentially through the Inclusive Communities Grant. That one, Virginia and I worked on together. It's a grant of up to $60,000 and is for anything that improves the accessibility. So the focus is absolutely on accessibility, no other items. So looking at the area of the accessible kayak dock, with the $60,000, what we managed to build into the application was, so we'll fix the kayak dock, the outstanding amount, which was $5,500 from the Trans Canada grant that we needed cash in kind. There will also be 2 accessible parking spots at the marina, the Pine Street Marina. And there will be some repairs or some updates to the bathrooms that exist there as well. Right now, they have some universal washrooms and they have more accessibility features built into it than I've seen in a lot of bathrooms. However, they have a very small door that is not wheelchair accessible and doesn't have any door openers. So the additional funds will widen the door and put in actuators as well. Then with the little bit of funding that was left, I think there was 4 or 5 of the blue metal picnic tables with the umbrella that I sent as pictures along the pathway to improve accessibility. So I don't know if you were able to see on there, it may not be obvious, but one side has no seat, no bench. So that's fully accessible for anyone using a mobility device, and then sitting with family and friends on the other 3 stops. And it provides shade, which is a really important feature. So I have heard from the Trans Canada Trail folk that everything is in line for the application. I'm waiting for paperwork, which I expect will come. So that means we've been successful, but it's not over until you sign on the dotted line. And the Inclusive Communities Grant, we have not heard yet, and I'm not sure what the time frame for that is. So either way, I want the kayak dock project to go forward, and a commitment from using the barrier removal reserves of $5,500 will guarantee that we can start the project. We don't have to wait for the other funding to come in, that we can start it. And if the other funding comes in to cover it, that's great. We'll use our $5,500 for other barrier removal projects.
And the Inclusive Community Grant deadline was May 22nd.
Yes. So we applied.
Yeah, but it's, you're probably still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes quite a while. Yeah.
Questions or comments?
I think it's great.
Dan, I have 2 questions actually. The first one is, I guess we're making improvements to the kayak dock itself. We're going to provide accessible parking over down there. Are they doing anything with the trail or path or whatever it's called between the parking lot?
Yeah, that was a big part of the project. is, an accessible pathway. There is an accessible pathway that goes past the kayak dock to another viewing platform. But the actual area from that paved path doesn't go directly to the kayak dock. So it did not provide a safe path of travel. I believe the costs for public works to do that was $7,500 through the grant. Because I was being really careful with our dollars. Public Works has agreed to provide, materials and the labor for that in kind. So, we have a big thanks to Public Works for that. So that also helps the project to move forward even faster.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, great. Just one question, coming out of this project, have we done outreach to folks who could not get, once the project is completed, that dock present area is sufficient enough, not everyone would access. Can we expect some form of outreach, something that our friends at Rogers Cable might be in order or something of that sort? I know sometimes we do this work and we sometimes hire a lot under a book. I think these successes need to be, not be something, make sure that people know we're up there. If these things aren't being taken care of, we'll tell you about the odd occasion to run into other members of the community. Give you the name. So, dear friend, Fred, and we folks are doing your thing, but let the rest of us know what you're doing. And that was the lesson I'll not forget. Because if we don't let the community know, because someone tried that and couldn't because of the barriers previous. Now that we know we've resolved it, because nothing's been left. We may not get it, we'll get it right, no.
Absolutely correct. That's really, really good thought. I know for sure there will be a press release going in, but beyond that, we need to contact local news if they wanna.
Just do the thing, those kind of outreach things done, because the public, they know they exist, they don't always know what we're up to. I know marketing is not something municipalities do a lot, but because we don't, our networks are extensive, but they're not completely inclusive. People, we don't know everybody, although we know a lot of folks, big and small. I'm making that, and that applies to a lot of things that we do. And there, but that's going to be almost an evergreen question for me to make sure that when we have our success, and that is a remarkable finish. Not all projects can be finished. We don't have an exhaustible list. We use what we have and we have it. So that's my only point on that.
Thanks, great. My second question relates to the picnic table. First of all, these are the same picnic tables that we have downtown on Market Street.
They're not, they're very
Yeah.
similar. Little works from the,
Like they're seated all around. I'm pretty sure.
No, I think we're right. I think that's, and there was, and then we put two more, three more, whatever it was, down at the neighborhood resource center.
And those are gone.
Those are gone. Do we know where they went?
It was at a request of certain people because that's where they were attending.
No, I get that part, but those were like.
Oh, where did they go?
Virtually indestructible.
I would ask Mr. Larry Girardi.
Yeah. Because if they're hiding them up there somewhere, not hiding them, may have forgotten about them.
They move them and not move them someplace.
Those were indestructible.
There were three.
There were two or three, I can't remember.
I think three.
At least one of which was, looked like.
Yeah.
And Diana, I didn't quite get, where are we putting these?
well, the question is, where would the committee like to see these new tables go? We can decide what are the priorities. So we're looking for feedback from the committee. For where do we need the accessible picnic table?
And hopefully, we can pick a spot where they can stay with all winter. Because I know the ones on March Street, Public Works takes them out every fall, puts them back in spring, because that interferes with the snow removal right there. But if we could find some locations, that's not necessary, because that's a big effort taking them out and putting them back in, but these things are pretty.
Right, so when you're out, please send me an email, or a phone call, and let me know, gee, it'd be really nice if we had a table in this spot.
I can give you a place right now.
Sure.
Okay, where the pavilion is, the tent. Between the tent and the river, people walk around it. Okay, so they walk around and sometimes they got those blue and red chairs that, I don't know, I think they're made out of wood. They sit really low to the ground. Yes. Okay, but then there's the cement border all the way around it. And I know there's picnic tables down by Beaver Tail. But more closer to the opposite end.
For the marina?
Yeah, closer to the marina, between the marina and Beaver Tails. A lot of people go there, but. You know,
Yes,
there's,
I don't think there's any.
no, there's, yeah. Okay.
I agree with that. I think sometimes I'd like to take picnic lunch down there and have it there. At the Beaver Tail, you feel like you've got purchase from them to sit there. You don't feel. Go further down would be great.
Another thought, at the end of Pine, I know we have those condominiums there at the end of Pine, and a lot of people walk over to Bellevue Park, but that area in between the marina and Bellevue Park, where the hills are at the bottom of the hill.
Oh,
There's a lot of green space, and there, I know there's a bench up high at the top of the hill, but there is
Just a bed.
one bench, just
One
one
bed.
bench.
Yeah, just one bed.
A nice area for those that maybe don't walk the full distance to the park. Yeah, but it is all paved. It is paved.
That's the part that goes from Bellevue over to the marinas.
Yeah. But it's not the marina part.
No, it's not. So are you saying along that area though, that is still part of Bellevue,
It is.
Bellevue Park?
There's a paved part from that gravel walk leading towards Bellevue Park.
I'll confirm some locations, I'll put a dot on the map. And then you let me know if I'm getting it right, and then I can pass that on to Virginia.
I think we should look at something in the westerly area. We'd have to take a look at, I'd have to walk the boardwalk until the machine. Like, you know. I think I'd try. Take it into the regard.
Don and Diane,
Go ahead, Sandra.
do we need to consider shaded areas? I mean, I know it's not always so easy, but maybe find one or two spots where the picnic tables could be in a shaded area. I'm just thinking seniors, if they get too much sun, it's just a thought.
No, it's good fun, I can tell you with public health folks, it's an ongoing thought. But the tables that they've chosen do have an umbrella. They do have a metal umbrella, so that will help. And it's older than it, mind you, but, yeah, they will, yeah.
A very good point. Thank you,
Okay,
Sandra.
thank you. Thank you.
Down by the locks, they used to have accessible tables. But I think they were made out of wood. I don't even know if they exist anymore. Maybe they need to be replaced. I don't know. Oh, that's federal.
Canada, and they might have been naturalized that area. They might have pulled those tables out of there. That block area used to be very manicured with the concrete block. That's become, the federal government has policies and then naturalized spaces that they're not using, so frankly, people that don't maintain them. I wonder if that's happening. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if
Were they wooden tables down at the locks? Because I remember a lot of the wooden ones would have carvings in them. People would carve their names in them, and after a while, they would just get worn down.
I think those are the tables, Sandra, yeah. You're right.
Okay.
We'll be curious to know what happened to those other two tables.
I know that's where,
All right.
Can some restaurants access those, like buy them for their patios?
I mean, they just come from a commercial supplier, so anybody can buy them, you know, take your credit card.
Yeah.
That being the case, are we ready to move on this? We do need a resolution. The resolution would read something to the fact that the Accessibility Advisory Committee, be resolved that the Accessibility Advisory Committee support the use of the barrier removal reserves to pay for the Bellevue Park kayak dock as an accessibility update in the amount of $5,500. And we have 2 volunteers to move and second this. Carol, you moved that. And Diana, you seconded this, whether you know it or not. We got your names on the agenda. Congratulations. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Great project. Thanks very much. Good job. The next item on here, with you, is the first to the pledges.
Yeah, so probably about, I don't know if it's 12 or 15 years ago, something like that. The city purchased sledges for use at open skating times, so a specific time for sledge skating. It just so happens that when you have sledges and people use them, they also sometimes play hockey. We've had some renewed interest in sledge hockey, and the only folks using the sledges currently are folks that are playing a little bit of sledge hockey in there. And they're looking at renewing the interest in a sledge hockey recreational league. So there's a new poster on the door speaking about it's open sledge time at the John Rose, because we have the sledges here, we have the glice, which is a mat that's put down so that the sledges can slide on it on any non-ice surface. So all the way from the change rooms through the hallway and out onto the ice. When we took a look at the sledges, they had reported to me that they needed a little bit of repairs. So when we looked at that, I did a sledge audit for repairs with the maintenance folk here. They were especially helpful in helping me organize that. And then I got a quote, and it comes in at 24 something for repairs for the sledges. And to put that in perspective, each sledge costs somewhere in the area of $700 to $800. And then the sticks on top of that are another, say, $200. So it's quite an investment. So that $2,500 is a very small amount for repairs on existing 14 or 16 sledges. I think it's what we have. So because there is renewed interest in sledge, I'd really like to get our equipment updated and as usable as possible for as many people as possible.
Are there any questions or comments on that? Great.
Just a brief one, Diane, it was 15 years ago, I was staff here when that project was undertaken. God, it doesn't feel like the yesterday, but I'm living in a Chief Gregor old woman. But that project has been ongoing for a very long time. I know it's not move around emotions on my campaign.
That being the case, and again, we have volunteers for, when you knew you volunteered or not, congratulations. Volunteers for these resolutions, this would be to the effect that be it resolved that the Accessibility Advisory Committee support the request for the use of $2,500 from our budgeted contingency for repairs to the pledge. For the pledges. That's moved by Greg, seconded by Wayne. Is everyone in agreement?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We do have another item on here for contingency fund project, but I think this is a big one that is the adult change table.
Oh, yes. I didn't have that on my phone. So last year, or in this current year's, budget, there was a $10,000 contingency fund built into it for things that pop up through the year. So I think we've used the 2,500, from contingency for our sledges, which leaves us, you know,
About
Really?
$7,500.
and I'm just wondering if, unless, like, people, please keep your eyes and ears open for something. But I'm thinking an adult change table somewhere would be a great use of those funds.
Diane,
Yeah.
yeah, this money is separate from the funds that were approved for the local baseball association.
Yes, separate from, that
Okay.
came from Barry Removal Reserves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions on that? Go
I
ahead.
would recommend the GFL, we do not have any.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, good point.
Question for someone who is there more often than myself. Are there universal watchings there?
No, not to my knowledge,
Hmm.
but I don't go that often either, Diane. So I would say if there's a universal one, maybe it's down where that
And I think there is,
banquet.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not on the main, I don't believe it's on the main, I believe there is one in the building, but. It's so long, I haven't been in that building. Before the pandemic, I'm doing this
Yeah.
phone call being ordered, I think there is one in the building.
I think it's down where that like meeting banquet, where we have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, given the fact that we're not gonna meet again in September, I would suggest that we pass a resolution in support of that. And if it doesn't make sense because there is no universal change room at the GFL Center, then but if it does make sense,
If there is no universal change room in the GFL, and I think there is, what would you think of a secondary location of the plaza for that? Because there are semi-universal change rooms, and we might have to get a smaller than bad standard for an adult change table, meaning shorter. But if that would work, how would everybody feel about that as a second location?
I see lots of people nodding their head.
I would support that.
Well, since Lisa and Sandra both spoke on this, and I assume that we have a resolution moved by Lisa, seconded by Sandra, that the committee support, the use of $2,500, $7,500 from the contingency fund, from the 2024 contingency fund, for the purchase of an adult change table for a municipal facility. Is everybody okay with that? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you very much. Thanks, Amber. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
No, the 5.2 other projects that were back, if anybody has any other projects that are like our contingency fund used for, and if it's not this year, I believe we have a contingency fund. Well, we have a contingency fund built into our next year's plan, but I hope to have a new plan created before the end of this year. So just keep your eyes and ears open for new projects.
Very free parking lot business update. Did we hear anything further from our parking permit?
No, I did send a request off last week, to find out if there were any barrier-free parking ticket issue. And I haven't heard back. I didn't even think of it before the meeting. So I'm not sure if that means there were none, or it was too busy, something else was going on that competed for the attention. So I don't know the status of that. But I can tell you through all of the events that have happened here at the roads, the new signage that we have for the no parking access aisles has worked wonders. I have seen no one parking on the access aisle. There haven't been any tournaments here, but it certainly is track and field season. So the parking lot has still been full many of the days, and nobody is parking on top of the access aisle. So I consider the trial to be a success. I think that will continue through in the winter time. And as a result, we expect that there will be an update to the zoning bylaw to include that. It's still being worked on, but we expect that will be happening at some point as well.
I think too, with the social media, when it was on the news that there might be a $350 fine, all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Just really. If we come to the pool at night often, and since that report. Everybody's been really good.
Value of exposure.
That's really good news.
Them where the Florida book is. So enough people seen it, I'm assuming, and or told friends, whatever, but yeah.
That's great. The other thing on our is site plan committee report.
Peter has his hand up.
Sorry, Peter, you had a comment? Question?
Yeah, sorry, I thought we were just going in other business. I put it in the chat. I'm not sure if you saw it. So the benches, they're like a silver nickel type of finish. It's more of a metallic finish. That was a last minute, I think, decision that I'm informed was made primarily to combat, to make them so they're a little bit more graffiti resistant.
Oh, good.
Okay. Peter, number. Questions that we all. For 20 minutes. Okay, there is Derek is not able to be with us today, but he did put together a site plan committee report on the activities last month. And there were two major projects to do. One is a new, major new. Right, they want to speak about this, or you know, maybe.
I'm even printing speaking notes for you, right there.
Okay, well, the bottom line is if you stand on the lawn in front of a home university. And look at the main building, libraries to the left. And to the right is a one-story steel flat roof building, which was, I believe, the first building that was constructed as part of a home university, was an addition to the. That was the library at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of us are old enough to remember.
Some of us spend an awful lot of time in that building, God.
I'm trying to help you here.
I know. I know from where we see.
Okay, that building is now coming down. Right, that building is useful, right? It will be replaced by a three-story structure, which is a very interesting design, and sort of gets smaller as it goes up. There are large patios on the second floor of the site. I don't know if anyone has seen it. We did spend a considerable amount of time on that. Derek did, Carol, Diane, Wayne were, I can't remember if you were in that meeting or not. Were you part of that meeting? Yeah, Wayne was there. With the result of reviewing it from an accessibility viewpoint, and that's my understanding is going. The other project we looked at, there is a townhouse structure down on Daisy Road, and that is also going to be provided comments for that. I'm really happy to say, just because I like grocery shopping, but aside from that, the committee has spent a considerable amount of time on two different occasions dealing with Ben Pino's new building on Great North. And he is going ahead. The foundation, I was talking to Ben the other day, the foundations are already in the ground. So he's charging ahead with that. I think the committee.
What is he putting in there?
He is putting in there two major commercial uses. The first one, this is where the Royal Bank is, it's in behind.
Yeah.
The first one is a new Pino's grocery store, which will be managed by Ben's grandson. And there's also a second large space in there, which I don't know what it is, but I'm guessing it's a drugstore. I'm just guessing it's a drugstore, because most of the large pharmacies have, or sorry, most of the large grocery stores have pharmacies as part of them. Ben does not. So I'm guessing that's.
Besides business, Union Square. Basically, the old spot that they used to be.
Yeah, he owns that building. Yeah. Right, I think it's a reasonable guess that we're gonna get another pharmacy in. So that's going on Great Northern Road. And you know, I know what to do. And with that, does anyone else have any questions or comments or things that? This is our last meeting before our summer break, and we see each other. I would like to encourage people, if you see something that you think is wrong, or you get a bright idea, or you see something that works really well, send it out handy. Or call it. Sandra, go ahead, so.
Yeah, before we close off, I just want to give a positive comment. The Sioux Airport, I think we need to say this again. The Sioux Airport really, really appreciated the group coming out to do that assessment. I have heard more than once from the chair and more than once from Terry Boss how much they appreciate having that review done. And they're really excited about changing, and they're really excited about showing you the improvements in the future. So I just want to reiterate that.
Great to hear.
I'm sorry, we're not following the chats. You asked a question, how much are they? Are we referring to the tables?
Yeah, you answered that already. So that was referring to the water splash pad wheelchair. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I think, you know, it's kind of closing comments here. I've sat on a lot of committees. And this is a committee that works together really well. Not all committees do. So I'm really happy to be here. If Derek was here, I would thank him. So he's not, I'm going to thank him many ways for chairing the 2 meetings where I was gone. I understand things went extremely well. But when you just sit back and you look at what we're involved with the new waterfront design. We were extensively involved with the redevelopment of the street. You know, we worked with the Sioux Baseball Association, and what they're proposing is just fabulous. And the fact that we were able to help them a little bit financially is great. You know, Sandra just talked about the same sort of involvement with the airport people. That's great. Anything that we can do to help those people helps everybody. And it's just kind of really exciting to look at that. And that's all I have to say.
Right. Go ahead. One comment, Jared, but Diane, putting together the new accessibility plan for the next 5 years. Have you gone through, again, go back to celebrating. We have done 15 and 15 records. One of them were followed. I'd like to know what are the where from given over where
Yeah, so I think you're referring to the audit that was done.
they're all over the years, every one of them had recommendations for our, but the following where we are. And for example, we did both audits and just the recommendations in each of the plan. I know every year we would do a back checking up, but it's been a while to get a sit down and then check up on the recommendations we've made, where things stand. The kayak dock, for example, the work that needs to be done, be complete. How many projects are sort of in the process? I know with the site plan, we use maximum legislation allows us. We do our maximum recommendations. Sometimes we've even gone beyond what the legislation permits. I know some of those discussions can give a developer an idea or a suggestion. But there are things that I want to know where. Before we move on forward, let's make sure that we've celebrated what we've done, or flag things maybe need another kick can. So we like the evergreen of our parking. The parking thing is an ongoing concern.
Indeed. That's a really, really interesting idea, Frank, and I never really thought about looking back and giving ourselves a pat on the back for all.
We're just figuring out where some of those are, and in case something was. Departments have sometimes done things and forgotten else. That had happened. Public works to fix something or what else has been, because the changes that we wrought originally as a recommendation become laid into the system now. Curb depression, classic example. In fact, when we do that annually. I'm old enough to remember when the first time we did that was considered unusual. So just remember that we must always, if there's something, we want celebrating what's been done, but checking to see if something needs to finish them off, you know what I mean?
Right, right. I plan to this summer, the planning department has a summer student. And, through the course of the summer, because of the original audit tool and
It's probably fail, my dear.
yes, but it brought fresh to me that we need a report card of where we are now. So that's my plan, is to use our FADS audit. I'll call it an audit, tool, FADS checklist, to see where we are for city facilities and parks.
Right.
So that we can see where are there still some gaps. And where do we see something implemented that wasn't there before?
That's the kind of thing I didn't want to miss, and that's why I raised it.
Yeah,
Because I know as we go through the accessibility documents we produced in all the years, they were recommended, and some years we would get the follow-up right away. And other times, people would do things and forget to tell us, or herself, Nancy, then Ross, so sometimes, wasn't that people would forget, just one of the little things, that folks sometimes forget to let us know that something has been fixed.
right.
Unless somebody, and we've had members of the committee find things that we didn't realize had been solved, just to know where those are. Just, I think you'll capture what we're planning to do, but just to go through and double check. And like, the fact that I can't tell you exactly where the acceptable restroom is in the GFL, and or there is one, but my memory is not that. It's in the building somewhere. I've literally been in it. But I don't think it's on the map. Not on the. I don't think it's on the actual. I don't know if it's on the event level or.
So that's part of the audit we will capture. Oh, and it's on the.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just want to invite everyone, Peter, this is what I wanted to let you know, is our free community barbecue at Fort Albert. It's going to be Tuesday, July 16th. So last year we had the Queen Street folks there. So if there's any display or any input from the city that you want, so Tuesday, July 16th. Looking for volunteers. The same. Can you email? I will email everybody. It's gonna be the typical M&Ms. We're gonna have some kids stuff there. So it'll be nice, but I have to come on a call. Yeah. And I'm gonna take off. So have a great summer, everybody.
And if you want to add any comments or questions? I'll entertain a resolution to adjourn. Craig and Diane, thank you very much. Consider the meeting adjourned. I hope everybody has a fabulous summer. We all enjoy it.
I agree. Great. Thanks, folks, that are on the line. Thank you so much for your time.
Sandra.
Peter, I'll send you an email too. Okay,
Have a great summer, everyone.
thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sandra.